everybody. Welcome to another PodpaGenos podcast. And today I'm joined by PushDustIn and x45x or Bowser. Push, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, I'm PushDustIn. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, I guess. So I do Smash stuff. So maybe you see me around. So nice to be here.
Cool. And then Bowser, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, my name is x45x. You can also call me Bowser. I'm now officially a professional commentator for Smash Brothers, and I teach the game, and I just stream on Twitch a lot, and I complain about probably netcode. Yeah.
A professional netcode complainer we have on with us today.
I'm very happy. I'm world-renowned netcode complainer.
Wow, world-renowned. So today, I think we're going to do our predictions and our thoughts in general on Nintendo's upcoming E3 Direct that's happening next week on June 15th. We're recording this a little less than a week away from that event happening. I'm not sure when this podcast will actually get uploaded, but right now it's a little less than a week away for us. So I guess before we get into talking about Nintendo's E3 and specifics of that, what have you guys been doing and what games have you been playing? Bowser, you want to start us off?
Yeah, my voice is still recovering from the dungeon. It was a regional held here in Colorado Springs, and I got to commentate that event Saturday and Sunday. That was amazing. There's a clip of me popping off about a Falco, up being a young Link with one stock left and going for the SD strat. It was amazing. It was, I don't know, it was sick. What have I been playing? That's a really great question. Honestly, a ton of Cadence of Hyrule, because I don't get enough of that game. And when I start playing it, I go on kicks.
I was in GameStop with Germ the other day, and he was actually looking at that game and thinking about picking it up. So that's pretty cool. And then
go tell him to pick it up.
I did suggest that. I said, yeah, it's good. So PushDustIn, what have you been up to, and what games have you been playing?
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of YouTube recordings actually lately, and then like we had a podcast last weekend actually.
Yes. We did.
You and some people from Source Gaming, which was really fun.
And being cheated on.
I did go on PushDustIn's podcast. I'm sorry, I did not inform you. I thought we had an open podcast relationship.
No, we do. Continue, Dustin. I'm sorry.
And then besides that, I've been playing Astalon, Tears of the Earth. It's published by Dongan Entertainment. And it's a really fun game. It's kind of like Castlevania, Metrovania mix, retro style. You switch between three characters as you explore this huge dungeon and try to get to the final boss.
Oh, that's cool. I'm not familiar with
it's
that.
It's a roguelike.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that, but I love Metroidvania games, so that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll have to check it out. And then lately for myself, I've been doing a lot of skateboarding. It's like really sunny and nice weather lately, so my town just got a new...
And Ben. Like my co-host on Memory Card, Ben Petroli, he's also really into skateboarding recently.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, really cool. Yeah, we got a new skate park in my town pretty recently, so I've always, I used to skateboard when I was 13, but I was never very good at it. I'm still not good at it, but we have the skate park, so I wanted to I don't know, kind of just do a little bit more of that. And then as far as games I've been playing, the last game I played was Kirby Star Allies, which I had played a little bit of a while ago. Really fun, really fun game. I love just seeing all the different allies you can get, all the different ways you can change the weapons and stuff, or the attacks. It's a really cool game. I've been playing it with friends because it's totally a game to play with friends. And then the other game I've been playing is The World Ends With You Final Mix or Final Remix. I forget the Switch one. I played the original World Ends With You on the DS, it is the original World Ends With You, but the first release of it. But the World Ends With You animation is going right now. It's on I think episode 7 or 8 or something like that. So I was watching that and I was itching to play World Ends With You again, and so I got that one for Switch and have been playing that. So those are the games that I've been playing lately.
It's on episode 7?
Something like that, I think. Yeah.
I didn't know it was out yet. Oh, I gotta fix this later.
I think it's on Hulu. Yeah, I mean, I like binged like the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and then I actually need to see the one that came out Saturday. Still haven't watched it, so I'm not up to date on the latest one, but it's pretty good. The animation style is really cool. It fits very well with the style of the game I always liked. So,
How do you feel about the Switch version versus the DS?
I'm still not used to the Switch version's combat system. The DS had like that's one of the like selling points of that game
The
is
core
that it
features, right?
yeah the feature of using the dual screens is like really instrumental in making that game really fun. The Switch version I haven't gotten the hang of it yet, so hopefully it'll click eventually here. I haven't played too far into it at all.
Hmm.
I think I played like I'm not even done with the first week. The game is kind of cut up into different weeks. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably get the hang of it. But the pin system and stuff, all that stuff is still there. But obviously, the controls are different, and that was one of the cool things about that game. So hopefully it clicks with me eventually here. But I'm also excited for Neo: The World Ends with You. So that was another reason to play it. So I'm on a big The World Ends with You kick right now.
Did they announce a release date for that yet?
I think so because I think it's in like I want to say July, but off the top of my head, I don't actually know the exact date. But I believe it. I believe it does have a release date.
Hmm.
And I think it's fairly soon, like within the next couple months here.
The only release dates I can think of right now are Guilty Gear tomorrow and Mario Golf.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mario Golf is the only one I know is like
The 25th, I want to
yeah
say.
of June, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Skyward Sword is pretty soon as well.
Yeah. Skyward
Oh,
Sword is also
yeah. July?
sometime in
Yeah,
July, I
it is
think.
July.
Yeah. All
It
right.
feels like Nintendo's almost done marketing that game. Like,
Yeah.
they've already done like the whole like overview and like what's new and what's different, and they've done like the Twitter posts and stuff like that. So I feel like we're not gonna see that at E3.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to segue into here. Now we're talking about Nintendo games. Was so Nintendo's E3. It does feel like most of the games that we're aware of, like Mario Golf and Skyward Sword, we've seen quite a bit of those games at this point. They've posted stuff on Twitter and stuff. So I really feel like personally, Nintendo's E3 will probably be mostly things we haven't really seen stuff on. I'm personally thinking like Mario Golf and Skyward Sword, if they are mentioned at E3, they'll probably be pretty quick. I think the stuff we're gonna really get a look at will probably be things we haven't seen. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Like I feel like Skyward Sword HD and Mario Golf. Like I feel like they're kind of out of the door already. Like the fact that like Nintendo had this huge overview trailer for Mario Golf where they showed off all the characters in like one sitting almost. I feel like yeah, there's like okay, there's not going to be a major push from Nintendo at E3 for Mario Golf or Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Bowser?
Yeah, I think that you might get some Mario Golf potentially during Treehouse because I feel like that's something they might do where like, hey, we're gonna show you how the multiplayer works or something like that so we can see I think it's called Super Rush, so like we might be able to see that mode. Um I think it's all new stuff. Also, the one thing I've had to like remind everyone about all the time, COVID really messed up gaming last year, and
Hmm.
like this year we're still feeling that. I think there's an incredibly high likelihood that Nintendo had more planned and was like, we can't like we can't push some of this stuff out to tease people with because it's just not in a finishable state with the kind of restrictions you have with your staff and like transitioning everyone to working from home and again a global company, so they're not just doing that in Japan, they're doing that everywhere. So I think
Yeah.
this is going to be an explosive year. Like they've been sitting on multiple bombshells that just want to drop on us, and so I'm excited.
Yeah, so on that note, one interesting thing about the at least the Nintendo of America post about the E3 was that they said it would mostly focus on games releasing in 2021. So obviously it's mostly, so they're not saying all of them will be 2021, but that does indicate to me that hopefully the big titles, that we might see here will actually be coming out this year, which is really good news to hear, especially considering, all the COVID stuff and how much that may have pushed things back. Like you're saying, Bowser, potentially, things have built up and they're ready to show some things that they maybe we would have seen earlier already.
With Nintendo, like, they try to do one release per month. If you look at their schedule, like, they have like at least one game that they're releasing every month. And so, like, for June we have the Mario Golf, and then July we have Skyward Sword. But after that, we don't know anything else for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
besides Pokemon, right? And so, like, I feel like we're gonna get all that information for the rest of 2021 in the E3.
Yeah.
Can I make a shot in the dark real quick?
Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Either Wind Waker HD is going to get shown off as like something that'll be coming in the future, or they're going to drop like some collection of the N64 Zeldas or something weird. They're gonna, and it's like it's just gonna drop.
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. Do you guys want to move on to talking Zelda stuff? Because I definitely have some things to say.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Zelda's 35th, so yeah.
Right, yeah, it's Zelda's 35th anniversary. There was just this whole thing about GameStop I don't know if you guys heard about this. GameStop got these posters in that the posters it's a picture of Link with it says Legend of Zelda and has like a bunch of different Zelda titles, characters from Zelda titles in the background, all set in this like kind of Triforce background motif. And supposedly GameStop is like doubling up staff on the 15th, and these posters are there for something, but they don't know what yet. So I do think Zelda being potentially the focus of this year's E3 for Nintendo might be what we're in store for. And that GameStop poster information definitely makes it seem more like conclusive that they're going to give us more Zelda stuff here.
Can you So, do you all remember the I think it was the Wind Waker promotional GameCube disc that had a bunch of the Zelda games just on it that you could play, and like a timed demo of Wind Waker?
Yes, yeah, it was like Ocarina of Time, like the master version or whatever.
Yeah, you get the Master Quest, and then you had, I think Majora's Mask was on there as well.
There were like different different versions of that thing too. I think there's two different versions of like what discs they gave out, but yeah, they put a bunch of the older Zelda games, not too older at the time, on the GameCube right before Wind Waker was coming out, or like during the Wind Waker stuff. I'm curious
if that poster, because the way you described it, like, I'm wondering if they're planning on doing something like that, like releasing a Zelda collection of sorts, like they did with All-Stars for Mario. And well, I could go on for days about that being a time, like a exclusive, like it's only out for so long. It wouldn't even be beyond Nintendo to make a collection of Zelda games available.
Yeah, and
I think they won't do that though.
Oh, why do you think?
Because I think like they already did it with Mario just last year, and I think like Zelda, they could easily piecemeal it, and like they could like sell them separately and have no issue. And like, I mean, yeah, they could do it with Mario as well, but I think like Zelda as a franchise is more valuable, like even like individual entries than Mario.
Yeah,
maybe.
And so like I like people are saying like, oh yeah, like I can see like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess being bundled, but like if I was Nintendo and like I was in the marketing department, I would be like, well, why not just sell them separately? Because like we could sell them for $50, $60 a pop.
And it's decisive too, because like if you've ever heard PapaGenos and I rant about our favorite Zeldas to each other, which is an endless argument, and we're not going to do it here. Like the thing is that like there are people that are like diehard like Wind Waker fans, and then there are people that are like Wind Waker is garbage, or like Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games of all time, and then you get some crazy Ocarina of Time fanboys that I will not mention the name of that say that it's nothing in comparison.
Best
but I
game
think that's
ever.
It's Majora's Mask anyway.
But like, I think that's all the more reason why why Nintendo can sell them individually. And you're right. Maybe they just sell them all separately.
Yeah, maybe they'll just announce, hey, all the Zelda games
And-
are available. I know somebody said something, I don't remember who it was. Somebody from Nintendo said something about wanting to put all the Zelda games on one system. I forget where I heard that. I'm pretty sure that was a thing.
They almost did that with the Wii U.
Okay.
Because like it had like DS, Virtual Console and everything like that.
Is it gonna be N64 Virtual Console?
Ooh, that would be such a cool announcement.
And like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time's gonna be on that, and that's gonna be a part of the Zelda 35th, and then they're gonna like be like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are coming, and then you're so close to having them all on one system again.
I mean, I know the tough thing was Skyward Sword, but they're now Skyward Sword is coming to the Switch because of the controls. It was tough to port it. So they kind of gotten over that hurdle. So yeah, if they want to put all the Zelda games on one system, they have a system that's capable of it.
I feel like having like a Zelda collection with both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I feel like that's almost too much Zelda in one year. And like Nintendo, like they've been releasing one Zelda a year on average. Like it's basically Call of Duty. If you
say
think that. Like it really, like I'm a Zelda fan. I buy every single Zelda fan, but it is a yearly release. And so like if you think about it like that, like why would they release everything this year and then not have anything to release in the off year? Because Breath of the Wild is probably not going to be this year, right? Breath of the Wild 2. So it's like they're not going to have anything for the next year. So like it doesn't make any sense to release everything all
Ages
at once.
and Seasons remake.
Yeah, Ages and Seasons would be really hype because that game gets so ignored by Nintendo.
But like people love it, and I don't know. There's potential. I think something's brewing. I think I'm on my Virtual Console kick. I think we're gonna get 64 Virtual Console. I think that's gonna be a big bomb they drop, and I think Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time would be on there. No questions asked.
I think N64 is a little bit difficult because of the emulation issues, like because
it's awkward as hell to emulate, and cycle perfect emulation is pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I think if we get something, it's probably gonna be either DS or Game Boy Advance or some sort of handheld system, because like we only have like Nintendo and Super Nintendo right now.
I'm shocked we don't have Game Boy yet because it just feels like that would be just as easy as the other ones.
Game Boy right now.
Okay, but just don't completely poop on my dreams of being able to play Smash 64 on a Pro controller.
All right. Well, on the subject of all this Zelda stuff, whether it's a collection or they release some more Zelda stuff, I think we're all kind of in agreement that Zelda 35th stuff will almost certainly be at E3 this year. That's
even the big focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're due for a 2D top-down Zelda, because the last one that we got was Triforce Heroes.
Yeah.
And like you could argue that Link's Awakening was kind of in that same style, but I don't know. So either a top-down Zelda, I would say I think a top-down Zelda is probably more likely than not, because we're getting Wind Waker this year as well.
Well, we got
or
what
not
was
Wind
it?
Waker, Skyward Sword.
Well, we got the Link's Awakening remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the last like top-down Zelda technically. I'm thinking the next like new Zelda will probably be Breath of the Wild 2. That's where I'm thinking. I don't think there's going to be a something to fill in the gap. And on that note, what do you guys think about Breath of the Wild 2 showing up at this E3? Personally, I think it might be the big thing to showcase. Whether or not it comes out in 2021 or 2022, I do not know. But I was thinking about that poster at GameStop, and maybe it is for like, releasing some older Zelda games in a collection, or releasing them separately or something like that. Or maybe Breath of the Wild 2 is sooner than we think, and we're going to see it, and they're going to be like, oh, and pre-orders go up today, and people just run out to GameStop, and, that's what they're prepping for. What do you guys...
Riot.
Yeah, right, exactly. What are you guys' thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2, and how much do you think we're going to see of it in E3, or do you think we're going to see it at all?
I think it's gonna be their big one. I think they'll have some sleeper hits and like the Smash reveal that will like obviously destroy news websites, but I think in terms of like what Nintendo delivers, Breath of the Wild 2, I think it's gonna be this year. A bit ambitious of a call. I think November or December. Probably not on top of Pokemon, because we've learned you don't want to do that. But I really think it'll come out. I think we'll get gameplay, we'll have cutscenes, we'll know the framework, we'll have an idea of the direction in which this one's going. Um, and I think there's going to be a large focus on I call them the current champions, even though that's not who they are, but like all the predecessors to the champions and like people in the regions, like the noteworthy heroes of each region. I think there's going to be a huge focus on them.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we're due. I think we're due for like the title reveal, and like some gameplay, like you know how like Twilight Princess had that whole trailer at E3. That was like really epic. Yeah, I think like we're due for that for Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 years since, the E3 where it got announced, and we've seen nothing. We don't know the name of this game. Like, we just know it's happening.
The sequel to the Breath of the Wild.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nintendo.
And when Skyward Sword was shown off, they, told us, like, we're not ready to show Breath of the Wild 2 just yet. So it's like, it's almost certainly going to be, at E3. I'm hopeful we actually see a lot of it. I'm somewhat hopeful maybe it could be a holiday release or something like that. I'm not positive about that, though. I'm reserved in thinking that, if it's until spring 2022, so be it. Zelda can pretty much release at any time, and I think it'll sell really well, so they really don't need it to be a holiday title to sell. But I do think we're going to see it, probably get the name, probably get hopefully some gameplay or more info about the storyline anyway. And I'd love for it to be at like the treehouse afterwards. It'd be great if they showed off, here's the name of it, here's the game, and then we end up with like hours and hours of footage of the game actually being played afterwards would be great. That's my hope for Breath of the Wild 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Breath of the Wild 1, like that released in March, so you're absolutely right. That doesn't need to release at the holiday season at all.
Right. I guess the only counterpoint to it being, potentially in March, it totally works for, a spring release. But the only counterpoint would be looking at what we know right now. We don't know what Nintendo has for holiday 2021 besides the Diamond and Pearl remakes. So what games do we know about right now? Mario Golf. We know Skyward Sword, and we know I think Game Builder Garage. I think might even come out tomorrow or something like that. And then
it's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah, and then think about what other games we haven't seen in a while. We have Prime 4, but I feel like that's further out than Breath of the Wild 2. Bayo 3, maybe we'll see it, but I feel like it might be further out as well. There was a leak for Shin Megami Tensei 5. Supposedly it's coming out on November 11th, so I guess that kind of works, but I feel like that's sort of a niche game. I don't feel like that's like this is the holiday title, so I don't know if they're going to surprise us with like a Mario Kart, or there's been rumors of a DK game by the Odyssey team, or
Mario Kart 9 has been making the rounds in terms of like people's expectations. Someone brought up a good point. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is one of Nintendo's best-selling games of all time, if not like
It is.
It is their best-selling. Yeah. Thank you. And I knew you would know.
It is one of the best. I don't think it's the best. I think like Wii Sports might technically sell in that title.
Oh,
yeah, Wii Sports
But,
probably takes it because it was way ahead last time I checked the Wikipedia.
That's so unfair, though. That's such a cheater. Anyway, the
It was sold
point is-
separately in Japan, but yeah.
Wow, it was right. I forgot all about that. But my point is, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like, it's not like people don't enjoy that game, but Nintendo making another Mario Kart would literally just sell bazillions of a unit. And let's say they're not doing, like, I know if I mention Switch Pro, I'm going to kill half of the people watching this, but, like, let's say they're not talking about a Switch Pro at all for E3, right? We're not going to get anything, not even a tease afterwards. If you say there's a Mario Kart 9 coming, and it looks good, and it looks like it's going to run on Switch hardware amazing, then people are going to go store off and buy a ton of Switches, and then you can announce something like a Switch Pro for the next year, and people won't care because they can play Mario Kart 9 on this one, and they know their expectations will be met. So I feel like there's a play to be made there. I just don't know how viable Mario Kart 9 is in terms of Nintendo's development.
So, quick counterpoint to the Nintendo Switch Pro, which I really hope is called the Super Nintendo Switch. Like, come on, guys. Please call it that. The announcement for the E3 Direct on Twitter specified it would be focused on software. So, I pretty sure, because it's an odd thing to specify in a tweet, that probably means we're not going to get a Switch Pro shown off at E3. I do think one's probably coming, but I don't think it's going to be at E3 because they were so specific about saying that E3 would focus on software.
And they might be, yeah, again, they might just be waiting for, like, they want everything announced, or they're going to hit us with a surprise this week. I'm not getting anyone's hopes up, though, because I'm not getting my hopes up. But, yeah, like, clearly the plan is they have a lot of cool things they want to drop, and that's what they want to talk about.
Also, like, there's a chip shortage still going on in the world. The Switch is still selling as well as it is. Like, it doesn't need a new version right now, I would say.
At least not like a financial level, yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, like, I mean, looking at what happened with the PS5 and the new Xbox and everything, like, you can't find those on store shelves right now. And I think Nintendo would maybe be smart enough to go, hey, when people go out to the store and they want to buy a game console, the Switch is pretty much the one you can buy right now. And if this chip shortage and everything, they go to produce a bunch of Switch Pros or something, and then they end up getting sold out. Nobody can get them, and they're in the same boat as Microsoft and Sony right now. I think Nintendo would probably rather have that advantage of their system on the shelves, at least for a little bit longer until like the chip shortage goes away and stuff.
Also, the Switch is more affordable too.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's cheaper than the other systems because it is lower specs, but
yeah. That's what's making me think maybe the plan is to announce a Switch Pro just a little bit after E3, like maybe not June, but like because like September. There's on a not so fine September would be perfect.
That's probably what I'm thinking.
On a not such a financial level, right now the big problem is that we just need more cores, RAM, and horsepower to run some of the games that are like being made on 64-bit architecture right now. Like everything that like you're currently seeing, like Call of Duty Warzone is a good one. That game running at 60 frames a second on an Xbox One base system or a PS4 base system is a miracle. And like it's a barely running. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the FOV in that game on the base consoles, but it'll make you puke. It's like it can barely run, right? And so I feel like a lot of developers are like, I would love to have this game of mine on Switch because it would be such a good platform for it, but it doesn't have the power. So marketing strategy. Nintendo drops all the cool stuff that's coming out that's compatible with this Switch. Everyone gets really hyped for it. They announce their new Switch and the kinds of games that will be coming for it. They aim that for 2022. And like halfway through the year, maybe March, right? Maybe just hit the Switch's birthday, right? Something, right? They're doing something like that. What happens is people still will buy old Switches knowing that all the dope things that Nintendo talked about at this E3 will be working on that Switch. And there's none of that fear of like, yes, you can play Yakuza 7 on an Xbox One, but it will run at 13 to 20 frames a second. Like, that won't be a fear in people's minds. And so they'll sell a crap ton of those. Hopefully the silicon shortage stops. And like, or like Nintendo can get enough units to confidently sell a Switch Pro.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're probably, if it wasn't announced by now, like there's the potential for them to announce it in the lead up to E3 to show off certain games for it or something. But if it hasn't been announced at this point, I feel like it's probably, I'm guessing like September, probably whatever next big Nintendo news dump that we get after E3, probably months later, is probably when the Switch Pro will be actually.
I like this September call out.
Yeah, it sounds like
a random Saturday on Twitter.
Yes, it'll be a random Saturday post on Twitter when no one's paying attention. So what other games do you guys think we might actually see at E3? I mentioned briefly Prime 4 and Bayo 3 that I feel might be too far out to actually see, but maybe we'll see a little bit of them, actually a little peek at them. I know there's some rumors about a DK game being made potentially by the Odyssey team. It is the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong. There's also a rumor of another Metroid game besides Prime 4, possibly like a 2D Metroid game, and it's the 35th anniversary of Metroid. And it does feel like it's been a while since we've gotten like a Kirby game, and I think forget who it was, some Kirby director said something about it might be the time for the next like chapter of Kirby or something. Do you guys think specifically those three, Donkey Kong, Metroid, and Kirby, do you think we could maybe see one of those, or which one would you like to see? Any thoughts on any of that?
Dustin, you can go first.
Yeah, with Kirby, there was that the fighters leftover data that suggested that Kirby would be like 3D.
Right, I
Like
forgot
it would
about
have
that.
3D movement. So like I think that's definitely a possibility for this E3, because like we have Star Allies was like what 3 years ago at this point, and
Almost,
so
yeah.
it's about time for a new Kirby game. I would say like we're not releasing between like the handheld and the home consoles anymore. It's just one dedicated console. So I would say probably we're gonna get a 3D Kirby if everything lines up with that data mine leak with Donkey Kong and Metroid. I feel like we're due for games in those series as well. Like we got Tropical Freeze I think 2 years ago as well.
Yeah, but
And
it was a
so
port too, so it's
it was
not
a
like
port
it's not like
too,
a new one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, we're like about due for that, and then Metroid. I feel like like we're like we haven't had any Metroid games for the Switch, and it's been 3 years. We had the rumors of the Prime trilogy for such a long time coming to the Switch, so I think like we'll see something like that. And then like we have that 2D Metroid rumor as well. So I think like Nintendo has the possibility to really celebrate not just Zelda but like Metroid and Donkey Kong and even Kirby, like all of their like I hate saying this but B tier franchises. Like
Also,
all
the retro
like
ones, like some of their
yeah
retro,
like
like older school.
The non
and like it
Mario
makes
old school Nintendo games or big franchises.
and it makes sense to try to convert fans to those series now because you've already have this huge install base on the Switch, right? And so now the goal is to try to get people interested in Nintendo's other IPs, to get them away from Mario, to get them away from Zelda, to get them to try new games. And you do that by releasing new games in those franchises.
I totally agree, especially after what happened with Animal Crossing, which I think went from a very niche Nintendo series that only, hardcore Nintendo fans really played and knew about, to suddenly in the last year, I feel like Animal Crossing...
It's a worldwide success.
It's a worldwide success, and I think it's like recognizable. I think that the very casual people, not like non-gamers now, could see Animal Crossing stuff and go, "Oh, that's that Animal Crossing game. I heard about
They're
that
gonna
on
see
Facebook."
Isabelle, and they're gonna know.
And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think trying to really capitalize on how popular the Switch is right now, how many people have it, and getting things like, obviously Donkey Kong, Kirby, and Metroid are pretty familiar faces, but getting the more casual gamers to actually get invested in those series now's the time. So if you can drop games in each of those series, that would be probably very smart move.
I remember like before Famicom Tante, Famicom Detective Club got announced for localization, I actually predicted on a podcast that would be localized because I was like, it makes sense that Nintendo would try to introduce that to the West and try to get people involved with the new IPs. Because like before Iwata passed, one of his primary goals was to get people invested in Nintendo's IP, because like Nintendo's IP could be used as a way to generate sales in the future, and like they're doing that through like Nintendo World, USJ. They have the Mario World. They have that like with all the merchandise opportunities that they're doing collaborations with. And so like I think now we're gonna see like Nintendo being like, okay, we need to push our other IPs and other series a little bit more forward. So it's not just Mario. It's not just Pokemon. It's all these other franchises. They can find success like they did with Fire Emblem, like they did with Animal Crossing, like you mentioned.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree with that. So you mentioned Pokemon there, and we've already seen, we got Legends Arceus, we have was it Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I think are the titles of the remakes here. Do you think, I know usually the Pokemon Company does stuff on their own, but I haven't heard about anything happening. Do you guys think we'll see Pokemon stuff at Nintendo's E3? Usually we don't, but do you think maybe we'll see a little bit more of those games this year?
I think it depends on what Nintendo wants to drop. Because, like, if Nintendo is going to drop on us a bunch of Zelda stuff and a bunch of new games and IPs and try to bring these other things forward, Pokemon sells itself. Like, Pokemon, you slap Pokemon something, it's going to make money. Like, it just does. So I feel like I actually don't think we are going to see it. Or if we do, it might be a new trailer, like just a trailer. And then like we're going to be revealing more information at a Pokemon event announced at a later date or something like that, just to tide people over. I don't think you'll get more than a trailer. We might see Treehouse gameplay, and they might say like and stick around for some Treehouse gameplay later on, Diamond and Pearl and that sort of thing. But I don't think they're going to get too crazy with it. I think they're going to be um sticking to their big franchises. I would say if they're gonna yeah, no, because even like some of the secondary titles to Pokemon that I love, like Mystery Dungeon, I even feel like those just do better during Pokemon Directs and Pokemon themed events.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Pokemon stands on its own and probably doesn't need Nintendo's E3. Treehouse, that's a smart idea. If it's just if we just see a little bit more of the Diamond and Pearl remakes at Treehouse, that's an easy way to do it. The Direct is also, I think it's 40 minutes, which is a long Direct, but considering a lot of the stuff we've talked about that I do think we'll probably see, cramming Pokemon in there too, when Pokemon can really have a focus on its own at some other event or something, would make sense to me.
Yeah, I think with Sword and Shield they did a Treehouse stream, but I don't think they spent too long on the E3 presentation, right?
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be my guess with Pokemon too. I think it may have a presence at E3, but probably not much of a focus. All right, so we basically talked about a lot of stuff that I think we'll probably see. Do you guys have any like wild, out there, crazy, game series maybe that like we haven't seen Nintendo do anything with in a while, or just something that you think would be really cool to see at Nintendo's E3, kind of an unexpected thing? Is there any stuff like that you guys
you always know I have something to say.
Go for it.
You always know I'm excited about it. Okay, so I'm going to say F-Zero every year until it happens. The year I forget about F-Zero, it'll happen. I'm not trying to hurt us F-Zero fans. I want it, and I think about it a lot. Other than
keep
that,
the hope alive.
So I know we talked about Cadence of Hyrule, and it's like I'm like kind of obsessed with it. So like, please just put on a tinfoil hat for me, PapaGeno. I think we're gonna get a sequel to Cadence of Hyrule. I feel like that's a thing that's happening because that game did stupid well. It's a really, really like huge. It's almost like a fan project. It's just it did well. I don't know. I feel like Nintendo took the time to publish the physical copy of that game, which they absolutely didn't have to do. And I'm like, that's a lot of commitment in that. I wonder, and I haven't heard anything from that team. I wonder if they're doing another either Nintendo-themed Cadence style game, or if they're doing like another Legend of Zelda Cadence game. That's my far cry.
That would be pretty sweet. Honestly, I know we heard that. I'm forgetting the name of the team. The people who do Hollow Knight. Is it?
Are you talking about Yacht Club?
No, they do.
Oh, Hollow Knight is Team Cherry.
Team Cherry. That's what I was gonna say, but I was hesitant. I wasn't sure if that was it. Yeah, Team Cherry said something about how they are not going to be at E3. So we'll probably not see Silk Song. So Cadence of Hyrule. Obviously, it has ties to Nintendo, but Silk Song, these indie developers, Nintendo does the indies and everything like that separately a lot of times. So while they do sometimes show up in Nintendo Directs, we know we're not going to see Silk Song. So having something else from a big indie company, something like Cadence of Hyrule getting a sequel or something like that, yeah, I could potentially see that happening. My guess would have been Silk Song if any indie thing showed up, but since we know that's not happening, maybe something else is filling that spot.
Sequel to Undertale, Deltarune.
Oh, Deltarune, yeah. We haven't seen anything with that in a while.
How did I forget about that?
Yeah, that would be pretty.
Toby Fox is super tight with Nintendo.
Yeah, that would be really cool if he had some kind of deal to show something off with Deltarune at Nintendo's E3. Like that would be obviously a huge platform to do that. So yeah, that would be amazing. Any other just like crazy predictions? Push, do you have anything you'd either really love to see or just a crazy out there prediction?
Well, I mean, you know me, like I love to see anything WarioWare, like
right.
Wario themed. Like
I don't know why it took me that long to realize that you might like WarioWare with your profile picture here on Discord, but I appreciate it.
Did you see the poll thing, PushDustIn? I assume you did. Yeah.
The survey that they
Survey.
sent out to like ask the customers if they'll buy a WarioWare title at $50.
Right.
And I think that's like a good sign that there's something in the works.
Please.
And it's long overdue for the Switch. Like please bring a WarioWare to the Switch and let me use the infrared cameras or the Joy-Cons.
Even if it's just a mega mix, even if it's just like putting all the best games into one place with tilt controls and touchscreen controls and everything, give me it. I want it.
I'm honestly
the only issue I see is with Switch Lite, because like Switch Lite you can't detach the controllers, right?
Yeah,
so that's like the only issue.
You can tilt the system. We did that for WarioWare.
They do have They do have some games that just don't work on Switch Lite. I think Mario Party doesn't work on Switch Lite, so they're not opposed to.
Yeah, there's some mini games, right?
Yeah. So they're not opposed to putting a game out there that doesn't work on Switch Lite. And I think that survey was a really good indicator of like Nintendo is aware that they've combined their handheld and their console market, and charging all of their games at $60 or $50, whatever, is expensive for certain games that were exclusively on the handheld consoles, at more of like a $40 price range. So potentially maybe Nintendo will start coming out with games that they sell at like a lower cost because they're just that type of game, like a mini collection game.
The Garage is cheaper than normal. It's not a $60.
There you go. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, so maybe they're just testing the waters to see if those sort of games are what people would like to see on the Switch. I'd be absolutely ecstatic if we started seeing things like WarioWare. Rhythm Heaven and Punch Out come to mind for me of games that I think could really utilize the Switch's all the stuff that's in the Switch, which we really haven't seen really get used to the full extent. I feel there's very few games that are using like the infrared and the what they call it, the vibration plus thing, the rumble
HD
plus.
Rumble.
Yeah, HD Rumble.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, you bring up a really interesting point. I just kind of thought about when it comes to like quality of games, right? Like if you look at 360 era, most of the games that were coming out right at launch were pushing the 3D. Like I remember it was like Call of Duty 2 and Perfect Dark Zero and Cameo were really pushing like the graphics of the system. Like for a while there was a stigma of like, like you really want to push the tech and push the graphics, and like there's some artsy projects of 2D stuff that come out, but that doesn't sell as well. And that's perception sort of changed, and Nintendo kind of dipping into like the lower price range stuff and dropping like offshoots or different styles of remakes. Like the new Pokemon remakes aren't what most people would want out of a remake, or like maybe we're expecting out of a remake, right? Maybe they're expecting a bit more of that HD vibe. This is kind of like they just took the DS and they inflated it into 3D. Like it's a very different I feel like they're starting to realize they don't need to cater to a AAA graphical market anymore, and they can start releasing some of these games.
The issue with that though is that Nintendo, they have a very how can I say this? They don't like to undervalue their games. So as much as possible, they want to charge the maximum price that they can for each of their games. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that's a $60 title. And for the most part, that's just ported from the Wii U, and then they added like the Inklings and added like one Isabelle maybe to that
and
game.
They took out fire hopping.
Yeah, and they added like the DLC and I think a few more tracks or something, whatever it was.
Yeah,
the DLCs
and
in there.
that's not like a full game project, right? Because like they had 80% of the game already done. Of course, they had to do testing and everything like that, but they still charge $60, and that game is not discounted anywhere. Like even if you go to used video game stores, you cannot find that game under $50.
Yeah, it's similar to Skyward Sword 2 coming out at $60, which is,
yeah, exactly. Like
Skyward Sword, I'm sure took a lot of work to change the controls, but still, it's a port,
But still, like Nintendo, they charge like $60 for Tropical Freeze port as well. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I think they charged $60 when that was a $20 eShop title on the Wii U. And so Nintendo tries really hard not to undervalue their IP. And so as much as possible, they will charge as much as possible, so that way they can continue making their IPs as valuable as possible. One thing that I've noticed like with Sony games and stuff like that is that they go on sale quickly. Nintendo games do not go on sale at all, generally. Like the only game I could think of that went on sale was the Codename Steam.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think the
like
Switch is where
$5 or
you saw
$10.
that. Because Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild went on sale once, I believe, and that way they made headlines. Odyssey went on sale a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that Mario
with a
sale.
Pro controller.
They had like that Mario sale
Yeah,
for the
but it's
35th.
like super rare.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all I can think about. So,
yeah. It's more of an exception to the
Yeah.
rule when Nintendo has a game go on sale. Definitely, the Nintendo games retain their value, but I do think there is something, which is probably where that WarioWare survey concept even comes from. There's probably some division in Nintendo that is looking at the fact that, and just myself from working in game retail for like 5 years there and seeing what customers buy, and there's different groups of gamers that buy different things. Younger kids with parents and stuff like that, a lot of times, they wouldn't have like the Wii or the Wii U, but they'd have the 3DS or something because the games were cheaper, and parents felt more comfortable, buying a lot of games over time because they were, just generally cheaper games. But now that they've combined that handheld market and the console market, and the games are generally pricier, Nintendo may be realizing that they may be, how do I say, not overpricing, not buying out, but
cutting out some of their
Their profits.
cutting out some of their
Yes.
profits. Yeah, exactly. Kind of undermining their profits. Undermining their
all our
profits.
powers combined.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say this: like, game development is expensive. Like, Sony is trying to push like games to be $70, and that's actually where they should be, for like AAA titles, especially, because building all these HD assets and doing all of the development does take time and money, and games like team size are like in the hundreds now, whereas like back in the day you only had to pay like 5 people.
Yeah.
Like I do think that games kind of need to become a little bit more expensive, or they need to be scaled back. But I think that's a whole different discussion. That
Yeah.
we can, talk about.
We'll
Save for next time.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a little off topic from E3 stuff. So let's get back into that. I know we were talking about Mario Kart 9. I think that would definitely be a exciting thing I'd love to see. Not something I necessarily expect, but something I'd love to see. However, a point came to my mind. I know there was just like an update for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe recently that I think did some sort of compatibility with the mobile game, or like setting up potential compatibility with the mobile game.
That was the data mine, yeah.
Yeah, it was like in a data mine or something like that. And I think there was actually an update for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I don't know if it was just like a bug fix or something.
Yeah. It fixed like some text or some random thing.
Okay. But just showing that they're still looking at that game makes me think probably not Mario Kart 9 anytime soon. If they're still, they're still supporting Mario Kart 8 as recently as... That was only like a couple weeks ago, I think that happened.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And then one...
That
go ahead.
kind of shoots down what I thought.
I'd still love to see it, though.
Oh, me too. I'm like, no, you're right. They're gonna milk it for every penny they can.
And then
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. If you have something to say about Mario Kart, I was going to move on to something else, so go right ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think like if they can connect it to Tor, push some more Tor onto people, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think like Tor is very successful. Like I think it's done really well on both the Google and Apple App Store.
I think it's a top selling mobile game, like for sure. So that's pretty awesome, and I could definitely see them wanting to transition people to play that game, or at least have both supported. So if they're doing something with Mario Kart 8, they probably want to keep it Mario Kart 8 and keep getting stuff from the mobile game. So the one other series that just came to my mind here that I'd really like to see would be Pikmin 4, finally, please. We got Pikmin 3 Deluxe fairly recently, so I don't know if Pikmin 4 is more of a like next E3 game to watch out for, but it's something I'd absolutely love to see. I don't know if it would be there. What do you guys think about Pikmin?
Oh, it deserves to be there. Like, I like Pikmin. There's so many Pikmin fans, and again, like we're talking like pushing these different IPs out. Nintendo can lean into more. I feel like Pikmin's such a good franchise to do that with. If you have like a lull in like your main franchises as Nintendo, and you can start pushing other things, I feel like Pikmin does wonders.
Yeah, my brother's a
Yeah.
huge Pikmin fan and has been waiting for Pikmin 4 forever. So I mostly want to. I mean, I'd love to see it for myself, but I mostly would really like him to actually get a new Pikmin game because it's just been so long.
I agree 100% with you, both of you. Like, I think like Pikmin makes a lot of sense. Like, they're releasing a like Niantic game with Pikmin. That's the people who make Pokemon Go.
Yeah, they're making a
And
mobile
like,
game.
yeah, I feel like that would have to kind of tie into like a main Pikmin game. And the fact that they had Pikmin at Nintendo World, in Osaka, and everything like that, I feel like they're kind of gearing things up to be more Pikmin in the future.
I could
And
see.
so I would love to see Pikmin 4.
Yeah, I could see Pikmin being very similar to what happened with Animal Crossing that I was talking about before, where it's an IP that I don't think the general public recognizes so much. We talked about like Donkey Kong, Kirby, Metroid. Obviously, those games are not necessarily played by casual gamers as much as like Mario and Zelda, but they're recognizable. Whereas I don't think Animal Crossing and Pikmin were quite as recognizable just because they haven't been around as long. But like you said, Pikmin showing up in the Nintendo world, I think it's like the only other thing besides Mario and Mario adjacent stuff that's in there. And then that mobile game, which I sort of spaced about actually, yeah, the Niantic mobile game. If they have any kind of hope that it's even close to Pokemon Go levels of hype, which I don't think it'll get that big, but you know, it might be a game people play or whatever. To have a tie-in game right on the Switch to be like, oh, you're into Pikmin, you found Pikmin on your phone, you like got into it through the phone game. Well, here you go. There's a new title. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense to do that. Again, maybe not this E3, maybe the next Nintendo info dump, maybe next year or something, but I could see it being fairly soon that we get something from the Pikmin series.
Yeah, I think the Pikmin Niantic game, I think that's in closed beta in like Singapore or something like that.
That sounds right.
So,
I
like,
know. I know some people described it. I read like a description of what the gameplay is like or something.
Yeah, it's like basically like finding some treasure with your Pikmin, like send them out to expeditions and stuff like that. And I know that as you mentioned, like Nintendo's like goal with mobile games is try to introduce them on mobile and then get them to join the consoles. Like they did a Mario game on mobile and then they released Odyssey later. Like,
right.
And like had a couple tie-ins and stuff like that. They had Fire Emblem Heroes and then they did Three Houses. So I could see them doing that with Pikmin a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Just the mobile market or the mobile gamers might not be the same as the traditional Nintendo gamers. It's a different group a lot of the times. So it's one way to kind of dip into a new market base. So yeah, definitely.
Blue Ocean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last thing I want to talk about before we start talking Smash, unless you guys have anything else that came to mind, is do you think we're going to see any Microsoft Nintendo collaboration stuff at Nintendo's E3? I know there's been a lot of talk of that. They seem to have a really good relationship. Do you think we're going to see like Game Pass announced for Switch or Master Chief Collection or Rare Replay or something showing up on Switch? Any kind of big Microsoft Nintendo stuff? I'd love to see it. I don't know if we're going to see it, but I'd love to see something like that. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So yeah.
Thinking.
Okay, so I would say like Phil Spencer, like he has like a Switch in his background on for several of his live presentations. I think there is like some sort of connection between Microsoft and Nintendo. He also had that Epic versus Apple lawsuit where like they had like whole pages of redacted information.
Unbelievable how much
Microsoft.
stuff leaked out of that. Unbelievable.
It's quite funny. Not funny, but
No, it's funny.
interesting.
It's
It's funny.
absolutely a
It's
little
funny.
Like, as a spectator to this incredible legal garbage, it's very funny.
It's I think it's good because like it shows people how much of a industry the games industry is, and that's something that gamers kind of forget sometimes.
A lot of time I feel like gamers don't think about it as an industry. I mean, I understand it, like, because I'm a fan and from that perspective and stuff like that. It is very easy to get lost in just the fan goggle world of what gaming is. But yeah, it's companies dealing with each other. There's a lot of legal stuff, a lot of negotiation stuff. But yeah, that
Exactly.
that redacted stuff for the Game Pass. It's pretty interesting. So
yeah, Xbox and Microsoft negotiations.
yeah,
So I feel like we're like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like Game Pass on the Switch, because like Microsoft's goal is to get Game Pass to as many people as possible, because if they can sell the service, then eventually maybe they'll be able to sell you an Xbox. But that's not really the important thing. The most important thing is to have you subscribe to a monthly subscription that you pay Microsoft money every month. And Game Pass is absolutely worth it. I'm subscribed to it. I am very happy with it. I will continue to be subscribed to it. But their goal is to get as many subscribers as possible. And I think, bringing it to the Switch will just introduce them to a new consumer base and will help them gain some leverage in Japan, which they have issues with, because like Microsoft in Japan doesn't have a good foothold. And so if they're able to get onto Nintendo or PlayStation 5, then that would introduce them to a lot of Japanese consumers.
totally about.
And then stop. Oh, sorry.
I was just say totally about introducing to the Japanese market. I think that would be like the main reason to get Game Pass on Switch. I mean, well, maybe the main reason is just to get people to sign up for the service, but yeah, to break into the Japanese market in that way. Because similarly to what we were talking about with introducing, bases that don't necessarily know the IPs and stuff like that. I mean, if you can get the Japanese market to be recognize Microsoft IPs more through Game Pass or something like that, then you have way more potential to potentially sell Xboxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Stop me if I've said this before on this podcast specifically, but Phantasy Star Online 2 has a cloud service for Nintendo Switch, and there's a couple of games on Nintendo Switch via cloud service. And the cloud service tech is so good that people are buying these games in Japan, playing them on the cloud on their Switch over 5 gigahertz wireless. And even with the Switch's like limited capabilities in that regard, are enjoying these games with a lagless enough and good enough picture quality that they're happy playing. If you think about that, right, like how good that tech is, Microsoft's tech. I don't know if you guys have gotten to try the Game Pass mobile betas that have been going out. Yeah, it's not bad. Like at its best, it was very playable, and I was like, "This is a little too good for my phone."
That's impressive.
Full disclosure: the company that I work for has produced a Google Stadia title, and having using Google Stadia, I'm actually very impressed with like cloud technology. It is really good. A lot of people like discount and are sleeping on cloud delivery systems. And they're absolutely going to take over the console space in like the next generation.
Yeah, they're good, and I think having something like Game Pass using Microsoft's cloud services on the Switch is a no-brainer. I think that's just gonna happen, especially because like some of these games, like for instance, if we get a Switch Pro, can it run Halo Infinite? Probably, but what about like the current Switch? No, probably not, right? So it's such a good way to get people to be like, hey, you want to check out that single player? Yo, come through, come get Game Pass, go play Halo Infinite single player. Like, and you could just be on your Switch and do that. That's kind of a dream come true. So I think like Game Pass for sure. My pipe dream of Master Chief Collection on Switch will forever stay alive. But I think if you were gonna get Microsoft and Nintendo talking at E3 and like presenting something, it's either Master Chief, Game Pass, or potentially whatever happened with that Doomslayer tweet. Although I heard, for those of you who don't know, there was a tweet that went out that that was about E3 and Smash character reveal, and it was the Doomslayer, and it got taken down by Nintendo, and everyone was losing their mind. But it might have also been because there was copyrighted Nintendo music in the background of that tweet. So might have just been a DMCA claim and we're all bamboozled, but those are the only 3 reasons I could think of.
Yeah, the Doomslayer tweet thing it's a little strange. Just to touch on it real quick. It was a Doom. I think it was a Doom Eternal commercial that had Lifelight playing in the background, the like Smash Ultimate theme song. Yeah, and so it got taken down. But it may have like Twitter might have taken it down. It might not actually be a copyright strike. Someone else showed that like when something gets a copyright strike, it actually shows a different message than the message that it had. So it might have been a weird algorithm thing. And other people
It wasn't Twitter. It was the user themselves removed it.
Oh, or was that positive? It was. I thought it was either. I thought what the person said was it was either the person themselves removed it or Twitter removed it for whatever reason. So
I think Matt Graphics
yes,
that out.
Yeah, it was Matt Graphics exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a. I mean, it's probably out by the time I put this podcast out, but I have a video right now, totally filmed. I just haven't uploaded it yet. I'm probably gonna upload it right after we're done recording. Actually, that talks about all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, Doomslayer would be really cool to get, but I'm wary of that situation. I guess is just what I'm saying. But on that note, do you guys want to talk Smash stuff?
Wait, actually, one more thing.
Sure.
Was there a because I'm not in this space as much as you guys. Was there a rumor of a new Banjo-Kazooie game?
There's always rumors about stuff, whether or not they have legs to them.
Yeah, I just thought like if that like whisper of a rumor I heard is real, then like that would be something I might expect to show up on a cloud service on Nintendo Switch. But that's as far as that runs for me. I was like, wait, was that a thing?
I've heard both rumors of like maybe they'll make a new Banjo-Kazooie. I've heard maybe they'll make, I think, and this might just be a fan name, I don't recall where exactly this came from, Banjo Redooey, which would be like a remaster or something of possibly the first two. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but with Banjo, showing up in Smash and obviously getting a lot of fanfare for showing up in Smash, it would make sense to do something with the Banjo-Kazooie IP. There's a bunch of merchandise that keeps coming out for Banjo stuff, so I would be a little shocked if Banjo coming to Smash is the end for Banjo stuff coming out. I don't know when we'll see that, but weird. It feels like there's a revival in the works behind the scenes, and we'll probably see something eventually. I don't know if it's going to be from Rare or what, or just Microsoft and somebody else does something, or it's like a remaster or something instead of a new game. But I feel like something will probably happen with Banjo-Kazooie within next few years or something.
Yeah, so let's definitely go to Smash and not let me drag us off on another tangent.
All right, yeah, let's talk Smash. So it took a little while for us to get here, but so we're almost certainly going to get a Smash reveal at the June 15th Nintendo E3 Direct. I think it would be incredibly shocking if we didn't. Are you guys in agreement that that's probably where we're going to get our next Smash reveal?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So with that out of the way, I guess before we get into specifics about what characters we might see or would like to see, do you guys think it's going to be a single reveal or a double reveal? Because I'm pretty mixed about it, to be honest. Push, do you have thoughts on that?
I'm pretty mixed on it as well. I personally think that it will be a single reveal and that they will do another reveal in September just to keep the mystery alive a little bit longer. But almost personally, I kind of want a double reveal just so that we could know the final characters of Smash, and then that the speculation cycle can finally finish after the 5 years or however long it's been since it started.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
So please Nintendo, I have a family.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that too. I obviously speculate Smash, and I love having something to speculate and stuff like that. But I'm a little bit like exhausted with everything, kind of like, what, I would just like to see the last two, know what we got, and end it. But I do also believe, it's probably just gonna be a single reveal, because I think having that final character reveal, in the wing or whatever, and building up hype for it, like the last character, and doing like a Sakurai Presents mystery reveal, kind of like they did with Byleth's reveal and stuff. I feel like that's something, to end Smash Ultimate off on. I feel like, just real quick, I feel like revealing two characters at E3 would be weird, because you're going to have one character that we're going to see fairly soon, and then another character that's probably going to be quite a while out before we get that Sakurai Presents for them, and there's not going to be much hype for it if you reveal them both now. So I just feel like that alone makes me think a single reveal is way more likely.
Yeah, and also like you said, with the final character, they'll probably want to do this whole fanfare of this is the last character, but with Smash for 3DS and Wii U, they had this whole direct where they revealed Byleth and Corrin, and then they counted everything, and they're like, this is everything that's in these games.
You mean Bayonetta and Corrin?
Sorry, Bayonetta and Corrin.
The Byleth Corrin reveal would have been rough.
Yeah, that would be rough. I feel like they'll do exactly the same thing, where they'll be like, this is everything that we've done in this game. There's 100 and so many stages, and there's so many characters. This is the ultimate Smash Bros. And then thank you for joining us in this journey. I think they'll definitely do something like that. I could really see that.
Yeah, I believe in that as well. And even if we got both characters revealed at E3, obviously they could still have a final Sakurai Presents where they do all that stuff. But it's way better to have, we're revealing a character, everyone tunes in, and then they also do a big celebration, thank you. It's, all that stuff.
Everyone is here.
Right, exactly.
I'm of the opinion, so I'm still of the opinion, I think we're not only going to get 2 characters, I think they're going to hint at a one more. We said it last time we all met, and I can't shake that thought. It is so Smash and Nintendo and everything. If we get 2 characters revealed, or we get 1 character revealed and then a franchise hinted at, my brain immediately jumped to a fighting game, but can you imagine if they teased a franchise and then they didn't tell us a character or something? There's a lot of ways they could play. They could just straight up reveal 2 characters, and one's coming out, later that day, which would melt the internet, and one's gonna come out, a little bit after that. But then they announce a one more thing. I really feel like that's such a good play, because everyone knowing the final characters, that would end speculation, right? But if there's one more thing, we don't know if it's a character, we don't know if it's a stage, we don't know if it's a, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a final version of the game with everything on one cartridge?
Addition to World of Light, something like that. There's a lot of stuff they could do if it's some special ending, whatever. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And there's so many things you could speculate there. If you leave us with that one more thing hanging, and you leave us with there's one more announcement we want to share, and or they even say we're adding one more character and more, but we can't tell you now, you're just gonna get people losing their shit over Smash for another until December. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the play they'd go for, especially with how quiet they've been with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
probably due to COVID, but
I'm always wary and cautious, and I always say this and add a little asterisk whenever I talk about bonus fighter or bonus content or whatever past what we've been promised. Be cautious with it. Don't expect it, everybody. But yeah, I mean, my big issue with getting a double reveal at E3 is mostly that then we don't have a final hype character to reveal to build up to. But if they did something like 2 characters at E3, plus there's one final extra bonus character we're going to reveal, and they give us even maybe the date, September or whatever, that would be amazing. You also mentioned a franchise. Were you kind of hinting at or getting at sort of what happened with ARMS, where they could be it's a character from this, but we don't know who?
Yeah, if you showed a custom Guilty Gear cutscene or hand-drawn intro or something that showed all the Guilty characters, kind of like the KOF one where Terry gets it in the end, right? You can totally tease SNK fighting games or Arc System fighting games or something, and you would or Tekken or whatever franchise.
Even a whole company, you could say something it's a Capcom character,
Sega.
I don't know. Yeah, Sega. It's a Sega character.
You could have Kiryu and Sonic's looking at each other and II rolling in the background, and no one would know what to think. And so I feel there's so much intrigue they could go for. I feel letting us know the characters and giving us more and also just not to keep bringing up the pandemic, I feel when you come back from the pandemic, right, you're hey, we're able to really bounce back and show what we've been working on, we're ready to reveal this stuff. You want to go all in, you want it to be explosive. I feel even if it is just the 2 characters, whatever they reveal for Smash, I have a feeling even if it is a character or 2 characters, they might be showing off more of Smash or their future plans with it, or we've talked about costume packs, something to just glow it up even more is going to happen.
That's a possibility. We have some spots for some more stages. We got small battlefield kind of randomly, so maybe they'll just be hey, we added some extra stages. Some extra Smash stuff is always totally possible. Though I think we're all, or at least I don't know, I feel a single reveal and one more fighter left is probably the better way to keep expectations for everything. But Smash does often blow away expectations, so we'll see what happens with that. And then besides, if we're gonna get 1 character or 2 characters, what do you guys think about? Will they open with a Smash character? Will they end with a Smash character? Will it be randomly in the middle of the Direct? What do you think about that? We had Sephiroth open the Game Awards. Pyra and Mithra opened the last Nintendo Direct. And then the last E3 where we got characters, we had Hero open it, and then Banjo kind of close it, and then it led into like the Breath of the Wild tease, Breath of the Wild 2 tease. What do you guys think about that? Where do you think we'll see the Smash character? I know it's kind of hard to guess at.
I was gonna say,
yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Without knowing like what characters it will be.
I think if it's
and
one,
everything.
it'll be the end.
Okay.
I think if it's two, it'll be like one at the start and then at the end. And then obviously if like my prediction comes true, which I'm prepared for it to not come true, I think you would get the character at the start, character at the end, and then the one more thing to close off E3.
I mean, that would be huge if E3 ended with, oh, by the way, there's actually an extra Smash character. We just gave you both of them, but there's actually an extra one. Boom, yeah, wait till September. I mean, people would go absolutely nuts. But obviously it's hard to predict what mind-blowing thing Nintendo might freak us out with that sort of stuff. I do think as far as opening and closing, I feel like if the Nintendo Direct starts and we don't get a Smash character at the start, then there's probably only going to be one Smash character.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them doing two at the end or something, or some weird out of order. I think the only way you're going to get two is if it opens with one, and then maybe there'll be another one. But if it doesn't open with one, then I would rule out getting two. That's just an in the moment thing. And then I guess moving on here, before I'm just trying to stay away from specific characters as long as possible to talk about the other things there are to talk about. Do you think it's going to be a third-party character, or do you think it's going to be a first-party character, or do you think a first-party character is even a possibility? I feel like everybody's pretty much geared up for like it's going to be a third-party character because it's E3, but in all honesty, we've gotten Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, Palutena, Ridley. We've had first-party characters at E3 before. So what do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like it could be a first-party character. I feel like third-party characters are definitely more hype and more interesting. I would say they kind of break the internet more often than not.
Yeah, and in general,
but,
we have most of the Nintendo big name characters, few left that I think are really huge. So the third party ones tend to just it's a new game series. Like there's not many Nintendo game series that can be new and stuff like that. So it just.
So I feel like if it's a Nintendo character, it's going to be like more in line with promotion. So like either a series that they're trying to push a little bit more, or Breath of the Wild 2 character where they're trying to like have the roster be fresh for a long time kind of deal. I feel like both of those are possibilities.
Yeah, you talked about that, I think, the last podcast, how maybe they'll end Smash Ultimate with a character that's from a newer game so that the roster itself has a longer shelf life where it feels fresh. Mm-hmm. So like you mentioned, Breath of the Wild 2 character, if we got a Breath of the Wild 2 character on the roster, and let's say that game comes out in 2022, then you end up looking at the Smash roster, 3-4 years from now and going, cool, it has a Breath of the Wild 2 character on it. That game came out a couple years ago, instead of, oh, the latest character is 6 years old or something like that. The game feels kind of outdated already, even though it only ended like 3 years ago. So, I think that's a smart point to make. And I do think if Breath of the Wild 2 does end up being a big part of this Direct, it is possible there could be some sort of Breath of the Wild 2 tie-in character, whether that's Breath of the Wild 2 Zelda or Ganon or a completely new character or all the champions is one, whatever it is. Tingle, yeah, it's Tingle. Tingle's in Breath of the Wild 2, and you can now play as him in Smash. There's your E3 reveal.
Hurt me. Not like this. I mean, plus, like, we all know they add Prince Sidon in, but
I know you want Sidon.
I'm not going to express my biases anymore on this podcast, but I think this pass, whether my one more prediction's true or not, I think one of the characters is first party. I think because I don't know what they're going to reveal at E3. I feel like if it's all big Nintendo stuff and you're not doing a massive collab with a third-party company, then you keep it first party at E3 and you keep E3 like all first party. But if Master Chief Collection or Game Pass comes to the Nintendo Switch and that gets revealed at Microsoft or something, and then Nintendo goes in and like there's a reveal and it's Master Chief or something, of course you want that tie-in. So I feel like I can't call what E3 is going to do with that. I feel like one of the characters in the past, for the end of the past, has to be first party. That's my like prediction on that. Will it show up at E3? No idea.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. I feel like there's a first party character left. Whether or not we have just two characters left, and at E3 we get a third party, and the final character is a first party, or by some miracle there is like an extra bonus fighter, and then we can have these last two spots for third parties, and the bonus fighter can be the first party. It does feel like to me that a first party will probably happen, and it could be next. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's a third party, but I don't know for sure. I do think people should probably keep their expectations in check. Despite all the cool characters we speculate all the time, that a first party is definitely possible.
I don't want to pressure, because I don't know what Dustin's response to this will be. You and I got to hear, PapaGeno, a lot of like interesting and heavy rumors leading up to Smash and with some of the DLC. And so we're going into an event, we were always topically on someone like, it could be these characters because these are some of the heaviest, most important rumors we've been hearing and talking about. And then like sometimes that happens, and then sometimes we have no idea what's going on. This is the only time where it's like, wow, we know nothing. I can't have expectations going into this, can I?
I feel extremely uncertain about what character we're going to get. I have some concepts in my head that feel like they need to play out. Kind of one of them would be sort of what I was just talking about, that I feel like a first party is among the last two, so I feel like that's going to happen. The Lloyd Mii costume is still missing. It pretty much has to return either as an upgraded character or just as the Mii costume, and potentially that could mean the Mii costume shows up alongside a playable character that fits either a Tales of rep, a Bandai Namco rep, a character with a sword, something like that. That's kind of just, those are the only things I really have to go off of. But we have two fighters left, so whether or not any of that stuff lines up for the next character, the character at E3, I don't know. So yeah, I'm really going into E3 with wild, like I could probably name like 12 characters that I think are all equally potentially possible characters, mattering to how things go. So yeah, I'm very, very in the dark over this next one.
I feel like I've been in the dark for all of Fighter Pass 2, and it's just like no one knows what to expect at all. Like no one expected ARMS. No one expected Sephiroth. No one expected Steve at that time. No one expected
Pyra and
Mithra. So like I feel like, rumors and leaks, like they don't really matter too much because no one has known anything about Fighter Pass 2.
It comes down to this, like we sort of had some idea of Steve. At least Minecraft getting in Smash was talked about a lot anyway. Sephiroth was talked
about like in base game.
In base game.
Fighter Pass.
Not so much for Fighter Pass 2. When Steve happened, I don't think many people were talking about Steve. I briefly mentioned that Minecon was happening the week of the reveal in like a video or two videos before it happened. But it was among, the 17 characters I was talking about or whatever. It was, Steve was not the front runner. Sephiroth I wasn't talking about at all. I didn't hear anybody really talking about him. He was talked about a little earlier on, like slightly after base game.
On base game.
Yeah, base game. I think it was kind of like after base game came out and Cloud didn't have much stuff, and we knew or we didn't know, but there was the Vergeben Square rep thing going around, and Sephiroth was one of the names. So, he was mentioned. ARMS, I didn't really hear anybody talking about. Once Min Min was in, some people were talking about maybe Rex, but maybe the Mii costume was enough and stuff. But it hasn't been like in the lead up to a character, not like, for instance, E3 2019, when it was like, it's probably Erdrick and Banjo. That seemed to be the overall guess. Other people were guessing other things, but that was sort of the overall speculation, and then that's essentially what we got. It's been a while since that happened. I think probably Terry, and that was because of the SNK leak. Was the last time we've really had
the UK.
Yeah, the UK website SNK leak. So I don't know. I was thinking about this, just kind of going off on a tangent here. The SNK leak came up. So I was thinking about Doom Guy because of the Doom Guy Twitter thing or whatever, which again, I'm not really banking on it whatsoever, but I was thinking about Doom Guy, and one thing that came to my mind was that we got the Vault Boy Mii costume, and how I was sort of thinking, well, they probably wouldn't have given us the Vault Boy Mii costume because, if Bethesda was secretly involved with Smash, if they had a character coming to Smash, wouldn't you want to reveal that Bethesda's even at all involved in Smash all at once when you reveal that character? You don't want to show your hand. But then with the SNK leak in mind, I was kind of like, well, wait a minute. What if they're worried about another copyright getting out? So they gave us a Mii costume early, so that if anybody saw Bethesda in Smash as a copyright, it's like, oh yeah, because of the Vault Boy Mii costume, and it doesn't blow up. It's reaching, but it's the first time I've thought about it from that angle, where it's like, yeah, the SNK thing happened. Maybe they're trying to cover their ground, but I'm not really banking on Doom Guy. That was just something I thought of because Doom Guy's been on my mind recently because of that Twitter thing. I'm more on Team Master Chief. If we're getting a first-person shooter Space Marine, I think Master Chief and Nintendo and Microsoft collaborating and stuff is way more likely.
I have my final bothering you about leaks and speculations. What ever happened to the Kako Demon hat or whatever?
Kako Mallow.
So.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Kako Mello basically, like, it's probably just a mod someone made. It was sort of came out when people weren't sure how to mod the Mii costume hats like that. But it was probably just a mod, probably just faked. And we have the Geno Mii, obviously, so getting a Mallow hat outside of Geno, like, it just seems unlikely. I guess I really don't want to set people up for something that is almost certainly fake. But I mean, there's a slim possibility. No one's come forward and been like, I made it. Here's my video of it being modded, which they totally could at this point because basically no one's believing it. So I suppose there's an extremely slim possibility of like Doomslayer and then the Geno Mii was a ploy and it gets upgraded or something. But I really don't think they would sell us the Geno Mii to then sell us Geno as a character. It feels
me neither.
Feels
I was
unlikely.
More just interested, like, was that finally called out or not? And it hasn't been, and I've never been able to shake that thought from my head that, like, because I remember, like, I forgot what I think I said it chatting with you once about it. I think what always got me was the physics on the hat for the demon hat. The physics on it were a little too good. Like, it felt like
it was
somebody really messed with the material quality, like, and knew how it was going to interact with those moves. And I just was like, damn, that's really good. And that was, again, like, now we're at a point where modding where people have these technicolored stages and all the modded voice clips and stuff like that. So, like, modding for Smash has come a long way, but that was at a time period where, like, hacking the Switch was still very, like, okay, we got in, but you can't really do a lot. It was in that early phase of hacking where, like, you're kind of waiting for, like, more support to come out. So that's what, like, threw me for a loop. I'm like, how'd you get this model in with all these physics, with the material quality right? When like modding isn't even like that far with Smash yet.
One of the strangest things too was that it was like it came out like you said, and just if I'm thinking about the person who would have done that, they would have to like modding would have to be something that they're kind of they do a lot, that they're proud of, that they probably want to show off. But for whatever reason, you can never underestimate, people who will fake Smash leaks. But yeah, they would have had to figure it out on their own, not share it with the modding community, have the modding community catch up to it. It was a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. I am believing it is fake. I am not counting on it, but it would be so amazing if somehow in the end it's like the final two are Doom Guy and Geno. I'd be like, yo. But I'm not banking on it.
If we the three of us have to meet again together after E3 to be like, bro, I can't believe that was real.
Yeah, I'm like 99.9% sure it's probably fake given how everything has gone down. But if somehow it happens,
I just wanted to bring it up because it's on my mind.
Yeah, no, totally.
That's I was gonna say when it comes to characters being revealed, is there anything like sort of obvious that we've like overlooked, like Pokemon or something, where like, is there something that Nintendo hasn't put out that you might have expected them to make DLC if we weren't thinking about third parties so much?
So sort of like how Three Houses didn't get a Spirit event, and then we ended up getting Byleth. It was kind of like
something along those lines, because I feel like one of the things I'm overlooking, and I lack the perspective right now because it's 6:32 in the morning and I've been up for a while. But like, and maybe this is more for the comment section for you all to answer later because I like going through these. Like, is there anything we've missed? Because we're always focusing on like, oh, big third-party integration and stuff. Like, is there any Nintendo first or second-party stuff that is like glaringly like, wow, yeah, that's kind of represented in a way that's like it's not in Smash, but it absolutely could be. That's like
so kind of like ARMS and Pyramithra, like Xenoblade 2, like just the stuff that we're not necessarily looking at because it's not super hype, but like yeah. I mean the only thing that really comes to mind for me with that is Decidueye, because that's the other one. Sakurai mentioned that he was between Decidueye and Incineroar, chose Incineroar, but Decidueye is going to be one of the final evolution starters in Legends Arceus. It may have been a character that Sakurai may have even gotten to the point where he, had an idea of a moveset and how the character would fight and stuff. So maybe, that somehow helped push the character back in. That's the only one I can think of. Obviously, I mean, you're basically asking what characters aren't you thinking of, which is a tough thing to, pull out. But that's the only one that comes to mind.
That people always bring up that are missing are Porky and then Silux as well.
Yeah, Porky and Silux have missing spirits. I talk a lot about Porky, actually. Porky's often on my mind. But that feels like kind of like how you said F-Zero, Bowser. It's like, for Porky again, I feel like something has to happen with the Mother series. But maybe it will. Who knows? Porky's definitely a possibility with as far as like missing Smash content goes. It's an interesting case, especially being a former boss. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, that's. I feel like there was something on the tip of my tongue, and I'm like, damn, why can't I think of it now? But yeah, I just feel like I'm missing something kind of obvious with the
Rhythm
DLC
Heaven
trend.
and Advance Wars, they're missing from.
Smash.
Are they? I thought Rhythm Heaven had some stuff.
They removed the tanks.
Oh,
they did. I'm mad about that.
The assist trophies. Yeah. For Advance Wars. Yeah.
I'm curious then, like if I wouldn't expect Advance Wars, but Rhythm Heaven not being in Smash at all is weird, especially given that it did pretty well when it finally debuted over here.
It also like almost certainly was going to have
3DS.
Yeah,
it did.
It also almost certainly was going to get a character in Smash 4 at one point. There was a leak that is pretty much, confirmed to be true. It was just early in development. And
Gematsu.
Yeah, the Gematsu leak, which had a Rhythm Heaven character. I think it said Chorus Kid specifically, and we didn't get that. And I think in Smash Run, the only series to not have a playable fighter but does have enemies in Smash Run is Rhythm Heaven. There may have been a few other things.
I also data mined Smash for 3DS and Wii U, and in the emblem data there is a rhythm category categorized with the fighters.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it seems pretty likely that Rhythm Heaven was intended to be a part of Smash 4, get a playable character at some time. So considering
it's
much,
like 90%.
Yeah. So considering so much of this game has been everyone is here. Past 2 has had a lot of ARMS, Xenoblade 2, get the things that almost made it before. Maybe Rhythm Heaven's in that boat. Maybe we'll see a Rhythm Heaven game at E3, and then
we also got Chrom.
Chrom was another almost maybe next time character. Can
you imagine like E3 opens and we get our Smash reveal and it's Rhythm Heaven. It's the choir, and like then they tell us that a Rhythm Heaven game is coming to Switch, and then they do the rest of their reveals. And then some big third party later, but like they just open with that and just catch everyone by storm. No one was thinking about the Chorus Kids.
That would be definitely surprising. I think a lot of people aren't considering that, but it's definitely a possibility. On the more bigger third-party characters, just feel like we should touch upon them. I feel a lot of people are really hopeful for Crash. I'm more of a Master Chief.
Yeah.
I go back and forth between Crash and Master Chief as who would be the best like big reveal we could get. But I'm probably more Master Chief as far as what I think could possibly happen. But a lot of people think Crash.
Like if you had a gun to my head and like said Crash or Master Chief, I would probably say Crash because I feel like Crash like fits more. But I would be so happy with Master Chief because Master Chief would be such a groundbreaking moment to include in Smash.
Yeah,
like Crash I feel like is a natural addition, but like Master Chief would be groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably want to play as Master Chief more. I feel like the bigger Steve broke Twitter thing would be Master Chief, but Crash feels more like you said, he's fitting. It's almost like, wow, Crash isn't here yet. Like we have Mario versus Sonic
like
versus
Banjo.
Mega Man. Yeah, it's like he almost feels like at home here. I still say the best ending we could possibly get objectively would be Crash Master Chief or Crash Doom Guy. I hate to, I know they're very different characters, but a first person shooter rep from either Doom, which I feel like is kind of the granddaddy of first person shooters, or Master Chief from Halo, which is sort of the first person shooter console game that really made that genre blow up in the West. Either one of them, and then Crash for that PlayStation Mario Sonic rivalry thing. I think objectively that's the best ending, but I think it would be an absolute miracle to get any of those characters, even just one of them. So I'm not sure.
I see. My brain first goes to, and this might be more for the viewers that are fall into this category too. I get worried. I think of Crash, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but like, what's Crash gonna do other than spin and jump? And like, they made Wii Fit a character, and I have to like constantly remind myself. I'm like, yeah, they made the yoga instructor lady a character. I gotta never question if Sakurai and friends are going to find a way to put a character in the game.
Yeah, I never think about moveset viability anymore because like every character has moveset viability. Exactly. Like
Steve isn't even like just a character. Steve's got like sauce too. It's like, damn, okay, I get it, Sakurai. You can design characters. Leave me alone.
Yeah, one of the reasons I thought Steve was more likely to be like a Mii costume and we'd get Master Chief and Steve would be like a deluxe Mii was simply because the moveset was hard for me to comprehend. But yeah, you got to kind of get your mind out of that. Or even that like, oh, would Crash be all that exciting to get moveset wise? It's like they could do something with like Aku Aku and he could have this whole thing where he has the mask or he doesn't have the mask and it like changes his like there's ways to make characters interesting. So you just have to trust in Sakurai in that regard. Though as far as interesting movesets go, one of the saddest parts about not getting a Rhythm Heaven rep in Smash 4 was not getting to see whatever moveset Sakurai would have done for a rhythm character. I've always been curious of what that would look like. So
Rhythm Heaven's also like, for those of you who've never played the franchise, like if you've ever played like DJ Max or Guitar Hero or something, right? Like the notes come down the track and like they'll sort of auto adjust a little bit to kind of make sure your note sounds a little bit nicer. DJ Max is kind of evil about it to a degree. Rhythm Heaven is the most raw music rhythm game you'll ever play, where that game plays the note when you press the button and it does not care if it sounded off or on, it plays the note. And I think something about people in Smash changing their combo timings to try to get things perfect or to like get the rhythm slightly off of perfect to like make something combo sounds beautiful and chaotic to me, and I really want it.
Can you imagine if they matched that moveset with every single song in Smash?
Okay, so
like how that would be
like they beat match
ridiculous.
it. So are there any polyrhythmic songs in Smash? Because like someone on that dev team's gonna cry.
Think about this.
That'd be so awful.
So Steve, they said, was the most complicated character they had to make because they had to redo. They had to go in and like mess with all the stages to make it work. If there's a character that messes with all the music in Smash in some way, like it incorporates that would be wow. Like, hats off. I don't care what you think about a Rhythm Heaven character getting in. If you wanted a more hype character, like if that happened, like take your hat off to Sakurai and his team because that was probably a lot of work.
I think if you were making a character like that, though, you would want to go with the route of individual mini games showing up, like, or like not the mini game themselves, but elements from those mini games showing up, and their rhythm is intact. So you have to learn multiple music rhythm timings for things for whatever the heck you're doing. That sounds kind of fun to me.
Yeah, it could be really interesting.
Sounds like also really difficult though for like if you're like in a tournament and you can't actually hear the sound of the setup.
That's a good point.
As somebody who's taught fighting games at a professional level, I'll let you know right now, the weird rhythms that we have to do to make our combos land in all of these games, like I'm just thinking about like original Blaze Blue new drive loops. Like some of those rhythms get so weird. I think having things that were even remotely related to music would make your life so much easier, even if you couldn't hear it.
I also think with rhythm in mind, they'd probably be both a visual and audio cue. Especially for like deaf gamers and stuff like that. I feel like Sakurai would be aware of that fact, and it would fit with Rhythm Heaven better anyway. To have if you can't hear it, maybe it's a little more difficult because you're going off of just the visual, but there'd probably be a visual.
I think the 3DS version had a visual element to it as well.
Yeah. So
I still failed at it because I'm terrible at rhythm games.
I've only played a little bit of Rhythm Heaven, actually with Bowser here. He kind of introduced me to it. But yeah, it's a fun game. So one other thing, just that I can't shake, and I feel like I'm not that mad at it. I personally am cool with this, but a sword fighter character still left to get. Like I said, we have the Lloyd Mii costume still missing, and Lloyd uses swords. And not that the Mii costume has to come back with someone with a sword. It could be a Bandai character, or a Bandai Namco character, or a Tales of character that... I mean, I guess they mostly use swords. I don't know what I'm even saying here. Basically, just the Lloyd Mii could come back with anybody, and that could be that. It doesn't have to have some weird pattern thing. But that's one thing. And we also don't have a tournament event for characters that use swords. And I know everybody always groans about sword fighting characters. But Ryu Hayabusa, Dante from Devil May Cry, Lloyd from Tales of, Chosen Undead, Nightmare from Soul Calibur. I can think of a bunch of sword-using characters. I could kind of see us getting a sword character before the end. Do you guys think that's a possibility? Specifically because of that Lloyd Mii costume and the fact we haven't had a tournament for sword users yet. Makes me think one of the last characters might actually use a sword.
Think so. I feel like the Smash community needs to get over sword characters. Like, listen, not everyone just goes in there with their fists, fam. Like, leave all these writers alone for making their characters have weapons. But, I think like, if you put Dante in the game, you have a red jacket, and then you can have Lloyd with the red jacket, and you can.
He fits pretty good, right? Like, he fits pretty good. We also had Sakurai talking about how the last Mii Wave was all Capcom, and he said it was because those games, had just come out and stuff, but he did make a point to say, like, that's why these Capcom Miis are here. Maybe the next part of that statement is instead of here with the Capcom character, so.
Oh, yeah, no, they might do something like that. It could be... Can you imagine it's with Master Chief, because his primary weapon is the energy sword, or it's like Arbiter, and it's the energy sword?
It could work. I also, somebody was talking to me about how funny it would be if the last two were Demi Fiend and Dante, so we basically just got Shin Megami Tensei stuff, like featuring Dante from Devil May Cry or whatever was now part of Smash.
That'd make me so mad. I'd love it. Oh.
I think like the whole like sword fighter thing is kind of silly at the end because like it doesn't matter what your weapon is, it's how you use it.
Totally.
So like Link and Marth, they both use swords, but they use it differently enough. Ike uses it differently enough. So like I think as long as their moveset is interesting and unique enough, it doesn't really matter what kind of weapon they use. Because you could throw the sword, you could slash with it, you could do different types of attacks with it. It's not all the same, and it's the same with fighting with your fist or fighting with a gun or whatever projectile. Like it's how you use your weapon, boys.
Totally.
And when you look at like Heroes moveset, the jab series is a very non-traditional jab series. The forward tilt is a shield bash first that with a bulldozing effect on it. That's kind of neat, a deflecting effect. Up tilt is a big scary looking arc, but up smash literally doesn't hit to the side. It only hits on that sword. It's awful. That move is only for anti-airing people and calling them out and killing them with a crit and laughing on their grave. But like that move isn't like Hero's moveset was a little slow, and as a sword user, your range is very particular. Where like you play Marth, your range is wherever the hell you really want it. Like, and so like yeah, I think so many people get uppity about like weapons and stuff in Smash, and I feel like no matter who they reveal, like it's all about like
people
the actual hitboxes and animation and whatever. Like. Just enjoy it, damn it.
Some of the characters we've talked about here, it's like we have Ryu Hayabusa, who'd be a ninja. He could have like a scythe. He could throw shuriken. There'd be all sorts of ninja stuff just because he'd have some sort of katana or whatever. Like, what would that really matter? Or like Dante, yeah, he has a sword. He also has a gun. He also has probably all this other crazy stuff because he's Dante. Like he could have an insane moveset. If we're really gonna get hung up on the fact he has a sword, or even someone like Lloyd, he would have two swords. We actually don't have any characters that have two swords, so the moveset would probably be way different. And then like, are you gonna get mad that Master Chief got in because he uses a sword for like one attack? Like it's a weird arbitrary thing to get mad at a character. I think for using a sword at this point. Especially, I just named 4 characters that would all use swords technically and probably play completely different and completely unique.
Very different.
Yeah, so I'm not really worried about a sword user, but I do think one might happen. So.
And, you know, and I really like that you brought up the sword user thing. I just want to mention to anyone listening that, like, I think my favorite part about Smash is when, like, Steve came out and I was, like, a little bummed out at first. I was like, oh, I really didn't want Steve over XYZ character. It was watching the animations and watching the attention to detail and watching, like, and listening to Sakurai show off that sort of stuff that made me really appreciate the character. And I always feel like when you look at the sword characters, look at the way they all animate. Like, do a frame by frame with them in training mode. It's sick. Like, there's so many cool, like, little touches to, like, maybe a boss fight or a specific attack, or, you know, like, one of Marth's old Famicom animations is the jab series, and, like, that sort of stuff always brings me back in Smash. And so when I think of a character that's coming into Smash, like, oh, who are they going to bring? Sakurai really is trying to preserve gaming history in a lot of ways. And so I'm always thinking, like, at the end of the day, how are you going to preserve Halo or Crash Bandicoot or, you know, or Super Mario RPG or whatever? Like, what little details are you going to go in to do or not do, etc.?
Yeah, totally. I think I totally agree with what you said about Steve. I wanted a Minecraft stage, but I wasn't like all that interested in a character. But after seeing how Steve played, he's one of like my favorite of the DLC characters. I just love what they did with him. It's really cool. So yeah, a lot of times, you know, it's you got to see how they represent the game series or the character before you cast total judgment on how you feel about that. Because Sakurai and team do a fantastic job, pretty much no matter who it is. So do you guys, do you want to do like, let's do this. Well, okay, one more thing actually before we wrap it up here. Do you think amiibos could get shown off here or not? We haven't seen any of the past 2 amiibos. Do you think they'd be here? I'm thinking it'd probably have to Sakurai presents instead of E3. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? It'd be real quick, and then we can move to the final thing.
I agree that I think it's going to be Sakurai presents, not E3. I think like Nintendo's almost done with amiibo. I was actually pretty surprised that they announced one for Skyward Sword HD. I think it's just because like the Zelda amiibo, they do gangbusters. Like they're constantly reprinting those because they always sell out. So I think like I think that's the only reason that we have a Skyward Sword amiibo. I think for the most part Nintendo's kind of done.
Yeah, I kind of agree that amiibos might be on the way out. I was actually really shocked that Monster Hunter has amiibos for both the Monster Hunter games. So that was more shocking to me. But yeah, Zelda sells well, Smash sells well. So those are the amiibo lines that are kind of, I think, still getting content. And I have heard a really cool theory that we had you could get Wolf Link in Breath of the Wild 1 if you scanned it. What if you get a Loftwing in Breath of the Wild 2 if you scan that amiibo? Like, how cool would that be?
Oh, that'd be sick.
And
that'd be so cool.
With Breath of the Wild 2 potentially being underground, too, because that's what we've seen of it, like, maybe it wouldn't be that game-breaking to have something that can fly around. Maybe the overworld isn't really where you're, you know, exploring so much. Maybe it's all underground. That's, like, really, you know, where you're getting further in the game. So, just a thought.
One thing amiibos, I actually don't think they're going anywhere. I think Nintendo's just gonna keep printing them whenever they want to promote or cross promote or something like that. Like, it just seems like a successful market if they have their hand in any kind of production for it. Dustin, you said it earlier, something along the lines of we probably wouldn't see Skyward Sword during E3. You know what we'll see Skyward Sword during E3 for? Showing off that amiibo in real life. That's absolutely going to happen at some point during that presentation.
Treehouse, yeah, it's a treehouse thing. Here's the amiibo. Yeah, definitely. Here's the amiibo on a coffee table.
They're 100% showing that off, and the Joy-Cons. They're going to flex all of it in front of us.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so final thing here. Why don't we say who we like flip out the most at, that character, who we think it might be, and then who we don't really want to see. Do you guys want to do those 3 and go in order?
So can you do that one more time?
So who would make you the most excited? Who you really want to see? Like, you know, an exciting reveal. Who you think it would be, like your more prediction character, and then who you wouldn't really like to see, the character that you would rather not see. And you can either be totally wild about this or be more like, you know, realistic with who you don't want, who you do want, who you think it would be.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first? I'll go first because I have characters in mind.
Yeah,
for
you
it.
go first.
Okay. All right. The character I think I'd probably want to see the most, and I'm kind of framing all three of these as a little bit more of like realistic possibility because I could obviously make up totally out there stuff. But the character I'd probably want to see the most, Master Chief, I feel like would probably be the thing that would get me the most excited. With Crash as a close second, and also Doomslayer, they're all kind of in there. But I think Master Chief would be the character I think is possible. That would be like, yeah, that was amazing. That was like the coolest E3 reveal. Character I think it could be. I don't know if I really have a definite character nailed down yet, but I feel like something a little less hype than like a Master Chief, something like Ryu Hayabusa, Dante, Lloyd, somewhere in that range characters feel a bit more plausible to me. So I'm kind of, for whatever reason, Hayabusa, I always like guess at Hayabusa and it's never Hayabusa. And I feel like the second I don't guess at him, that's when he's going to happen. So I don't know. But Hayabusa is always kind of on my mind as a possibility. And then character I don't really want to see, I'm not a very big Fortnite fan. I probably prefer not to get Jonesy, especially because I feel like he'd be the Western shooter character. I'd much rather get someone like Master Chief or Doom Guy. And then I don't know if I want to say I really don't want to see this, but it's something I'm a little afraid of seeing there would be like a Breath of the Wild 2 Zelda. Like that's a character that I could probably learn to live with and stuff. I'd probably actually just be laughing that it actually happened, just because I've been talking about it so much. But that's another one that would probably be like, it probably could have been a cooler E3 reveal. So that's where I'm at with those three tiers of what we might get. Bowser, you want to go next?
I'll go next. I think I have my list down.
Okay.
I think I would equally be as hyped for Master Chief. I think that's just right up there for me. I think my other top most I would be hyped character is I just want to see the look on your face when you're wrong about Gino. That's what I want. It's almost nothing but revenge, but like I'm not revenge. Like I want that. I want PapaGenos' face and Geno's actually revealed as a character. That would I'd probably blow up more than that than Master Chief, just out of sheer like knowing how you'd react to that. I would pop off for you. I actually legitimately expect it to be Master Chief. Like I actually think that like maybe not E3, but I feel like it's I don't know Master Chief.
I think he's in the cards for the last two at some point here.
Yeah, like it's almost like the Sephiroth thought. Like I can't shake the fact that we used to all talk about there's no way you'd get Master Chief in Smash, and one day I would eat my words. And I'm now kind of going like, it's so viable. It would be so unexpected, and it would be so like it'd be so good for coming together like of the series. So I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna put Crash there too because I really feel like you're right. Crash is just so potentially viable. I wouldn't be as hyped for Crash, but I wouldn't be disappointed. I'd be like, oh hey, like that came true. I would be disappointed in Jonesy. Fortnite.
I agree. I don't know why. I don't like Fortnite. I just don't like it.
I used to kind of half enjoy it, and then I sort of fell off of it. But Fortnite for me is like, I'm happy that people have a great game to play and they all love playing it. I feel like Fortnite represents battle royales and it represents like a lot of new territory, but it's not iconic like Halo or Doom or Quake was for shooters.
Jonesy
or
is
even like
also
Counter-Strike.
Jonesy is also like, or Fortnite is also like, it's a crossover itself. So I feel like the personality of Fortnite is I hate to use negative words, blander than the personality you get from a series like Halo or Doom or something like that, because the nature of Fortnite is to have other things cross over into it and not so much it to cross over into other things. That's just how I feel about it.
Fortnite's recently discovered.
We're just old. We're all just old.
Fortnite, I do want to give credit where credit's due. Fortnite has recently discovered what flavor is. Their animations and cutscenes have been phenomenal. I think they're starting to learn how to bring out the identity of their characters, and so I'm actually like really happy about that. But that would disappoint me because out of all the things you could pick for a shooter, like I'm more ready for Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War in Smash than I am for Jonesy. So like I don't want to see that. That'd be weird. That would throw me off so bad if it was Gears of War that made it into Smash.
Be weird. Unexpected.
So for me, like the hype characters would be Phoenix Wright. I would say I'm surprised no one has brought him up. I'm kind of offended. Sora.
Okay.
I always
Sora would be my second.
Ooh, Sora would
most
be
hype.
amazing if it actually happened. I'd like
Sora would be so amazing.
so off my radar, but if it actually happened, wow.
Master Chief and Crash, of course. I feel like any of those 4 characters that I mentioned I'd be insanely hyped for. The characters that I actually think would be happen, I'm not trying to piss people off, but Jonesy, Hilux, and Breath of the Wild 2 character, I think like those kind of characters are more possible. They're more feasible, I would say. And like I think a Breath of the Wild 2 character makes perfect sense because, like we talked about before, Nintendo will want to ensure that the Smash roster stays fresh, and it helps keep people occupied with Breath of the Wild 2 as well.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't want is another Fire Emblem character. Like that's the only thing I don't want. Like we got Chrom, we got Byleth. If we got another Fire Emblem character, I will maybe cry. I don't know.
I probably should have put that on the bottom of mine, what I don't want to. And actually, I want to kind of somewhat take back. Breath of the Wild 2 character is not necessarily something I don't want. It's like something I think you put it really well. It's something I think is just so plausible, and I'm hopeful it's something else instead. That's why that one's it's not really the worst case scenario for me. It's just such a plausible scenario, and I'd rather have other things happen. It's probably more like pretty mid tier. I love Zelda, and if Breath of the Wild 2, is an awesome, amazing game, I'm probably gonna love that Breath of the Wild 2 characters in Smash. To be perfectly honest about it,
I think Zelda is kind of underrepresented in terms of fighters in Smash.
That too.
Like you have like 3 Links, you have 2 Zeldas,
and a Ganon,
1 Sheik, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
and 1 Ganon. Yeah, so like it's like okay, like we could use more diverse Zelda characters, or at least like showing the different weapons and the different collectibles that you could get in the different Zelda games.
People are always like, oh man, I don't really want a first-party character. I want third-party characters, but it's mostly just because of the first-party characters we tend to get. I feel like if you got someone like Skull Kid, people would flip out. Like people love Majora's Mask, and Skull Kid's so iconic and stuff. Like there are good characters. Maybe what if Skull Kid or Majora's Mask or Majora or whatever is somehow a part of Breath of the Wild 2, and that's like maybe Ganon is on your team, and that's the main antagonist is Majora this time or something. And
Hydrated Ganon.
Yeah, and then they Hydrated Ganon happens, and
it's Wet Ganon.
Wet Ganon.
You're right. My name is Wet Bowser because I'm not dead. Thank you.
So yeah, what if that happened, and then oh man, we get Majora, we get Skull Kid as character. Like people would go nuts. Like there are good Zelda reps out there. There are good first party reps out there. It always feels like when Nintendo chooses the first party reps, we don't get the way the fans would probably pick them. So
it's hard.
Yeah,
it's like Smash. They tend to go with protagonists. They tend to go with characters that players can actually control because they tend to have the most amount of personality.
Yeah,
and they tend to be most recognizable for players. So I can understand, like, we didn't get K. Rool for the longest time because, like, he was a boss that most players didn't know about, to be honest.
You wouldn't even get to him. You wouldn't see him. You'd maybe hear about him if you played Donkey Kong Country, but for the vast majority of people who have maybe dabbled in Donkey Kong Country, they don't know about him. Like, exactly. So, it does make sense.
Yeah, they know Diddy. They don't know K. Rool.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, he made sense as a base roster character.
Yeah.
This is why earlier I was saying I feel like I'm missing something, because like that's the thing with first parties. I feel like I'm sitting here like, oh man, I'm gonna be disappointed because it's not this ridiculously hyped third party character that's Klonoa, please. It's like instead, like I'm like, wait, no, there are good first parties, and I feel like if both of you are sitting here, right, like it opens up with with Zelda from Breath of the Wild coming in, or another character from Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel, and it opens up with saying they're going to be in Smash, or we see the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, they talk about it for a bit, and then they show us that a character's coming into Smash, like, okay, great, and then at the end you saw Master Chief. Would you be disappointed at E3?
No, definitely not.
Would you be upset?
So I have to point something out. I'm sorry, I started laughing. So you said Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel. What if Breath of the Wild 2, what if the title, the full title, is Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel? That's the name we've been waiting for.
That's some dry like that's Nintendo doesn't tend to do those like dry ass PC indie game titles, but like that would be
Untitled Goose Game
for such a
yeah.
That's Untitled Goose Game level of yeah. The game after the Breath of the Wild. Oh wow, thanks Nintendo.
But yeah, I mean, if it's like a third party and a first party, and the first party is like Waluigi or Porky or even Breath of the Wild Zelda or Bandana Waddle Dee or Dixie Kong, or there's a lot of good first party characters. You know, you can't be that mad about a first party character if it's somebody cool. I know we want to have the build up hype and big reveal moment and all that stuff or whatever, but objectively, the characters themselves, first party characters, can be pretty cool. All right, well let's wrap this one up. Does anybody else have anything else to say? No. Okay. Good.
No.
All right.
I'm ready to be completely wrong about everything.
Yeah.
And on Monday, I'm just gonna eat my words for an entire day, and I'm gonna be really excited about what I saw anyway.
All right then. Okay. Well, do you guys want to tell people where they can find you? Push, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'm PushDustIn. You can find me by searching PushDustIn on Google. I am on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe TikTok by the time you hear this. So please look me out to see me there.
And Bowser x45x, you want to tell people where they can find you?
Hi, my name is x45x, x45x. You can usually just find me on Twitch. The YouTube channel's slowly but surely growing, and that's where you can also find me on the mic for Colorado Weeklies. So if you ever see a weekly in Lone Tree or something like IPA, I'm going to be commentating them. So feel free to stop by and listen to me talk about Smash all day long.
All right, awesome. Well, I think everybody knows where to find me. Obviously, you probably watch this on my own YouTube channel right now. So thanks again, guys, for joining me. And I'm super excited for E3. So hopefully some of the stuff we talked about here actually happens. But we'll find out soon enough. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll catch you later. Bye.
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 Remember to like the video, leave a comment in the section below, and subscribe to PapaGenos!
Twitter, Patreon, Discord.